Just because my daughter wore the same dress as my husband's white moonlight, he abandoned us in the desert. The live broadcast chat was in a frenzy. As expected, a fox spirit spawn born bad. Mr. Julian, don't hold back. Quick vote. Next round, cut off their water supply. Let's see how long they last. 3 days and 3 nights, scorching sun and sandstorms, with no end in sight. He stood before the camera, looking down on us. Alara, as long as you obediently admit your mistake, admit to instigating your daughter to bully Isla, I'll come pick you up. Watching my daughter barely breathing, I couldn't even shed a single tear of weakness. I could only kneel down and desperately slam my head against a rock. If I die quickly, maybe my daughter can be saved? He laughed. Since you've admitted defeat, let's give you a reward. Hope surged within me, and I hurried forward. The next second, a swarm of cobras slithered out of the supply bags, their tongues flickering. I picked up my daughter and, ignoring the bloody mess of my feet, ran for our lives. Behind the camera, his face paled, and he roared in panic. Who told you to put in real snakes? I said toy snakes. In the desert, the scorching sun burned our backs. My daughter's thin hand clutched at my clothes. Mommy, I'm thirsty. Looking at the small amount of water at the bottom of the bottle, I silently dabbed a little on her chapped lips. A drone was pointed at us in the distance, broadcasting this punishment live. In the live broadcast, Julian leaned lazily by the villa pool, holding up a glass of red wine and mocking. Alara, you're tough. To fight for my affection. You're even willing to risk your daughter's life. My daughter shrank back. I'm sorry, Lily shouldn't have worn the same dress as Aunt Isla. Mommy didn't. I reached out and covered her mouth. As expected, after hearing those words, Julian's anger flared. Shut up. Alara, are you mute? Does your child have to apologize for you? That dress was a gift from Isla's deceased mother. You let Lily copy it, deliberately showing off your mother-daughter bond, didn't you? The air felt like flames burning my throat, each breath a stinging pain. I opened my mouth but ultimately said nothing. When Isla lost a necklace, he directly took off my wedding ring and gave it to her as compensation. When Isla had a stomach ache at a banquet, he refused to listen to any explanations. He insisted that I was the one who did it, forcing me to drink laxatives and embarrassing me in public, forever making me a joke in that circle. Once, twice, and later, even I began to think. Perhaps silence is more dignified than explanation. The viewers in the live broadcast were in high spirits. Not talking? Does that mean she admits it? Or is she just too ashamed to admit it? This fox spirit is still pretending to be innocent even when she's about to die. Looks like she's using her child as a trump card. Snatching someone else's husband, secretly giving birth to an illegitimate child, and daring to flaunt it, so shameless. Julian stared at those comments, his brow furrowed, but he remained silent. He had never publicly acknowledged his relationship with me. Meanwhile, Isla, as a rising beauty influencer, frequently showed off the luxury goods he gave her, attracting a lot of fans. Many people cursed me for using my womb to climb the social ladder, shamelessly relying on my daughter to stay in the Lin family. In the comments, a message from the ID Isla was instantly pinned to the top. Just sitting there is hardly a punishment, right? How about we have them complete a time challenge to get supplies? Let's have some fun too. Isla swayed her hips as she touched up her makeup in front of the camera, smiling softly. Is Alara just treating this like a wilderness survival game with her child? How interesting. Actually, Julian Gerga, why don't you go pick Alara up? I don't blame her anymore. Everyone praised her. I'm crying, this is something from ancient times? Isn't she the epitome of a virtuous first wife? Amidst everyone's jokes and jeers, the sun set, and the heat wave instantly receded. The temperature difference between day and night in the desert was extreme. Before the sweat could dry, a chilling cold rushed over us. My daughter trembled and burrowed into my arms. Julian glanced at the comments and the corners of his lips curled up. All right, I'll plant a flag 5 kilometers away and drop off supplies. If you don't want to freeze to death, get there within an hour. Alara, let's see what you can do. As the temperature plummeted, the live broadcast started a countdown. I only had a thin jacket on my waist. If I didn't get the supplies, I would just freeze to death. I swallowed all my emotions, pulled my daughter close, and rushed forward. The wind, mixed with sand, scraped my face like a knife. Julian's disdainful voice pierced through the wind and sand. Run faster, did you not eat? Isla giggled and said coquettishly. Julian, you're so mean, I just didn't eat. Alara will definitely lose weight after playing in the desert for a few days. Unlike me, you fatten me up. Those words were more powerful than sand, grinding away old wounds inch by inch and tearing open new ones. Before long, my daughter's face turned pale. Mom, I really can't walk anymore. Seeing that there was still half the distance left, I gritted my teeth, picked up a thick stick, and carried her forward, sinking with each step. As long as my daughter was still there, I couldn't fall. Later, my legs lost feeling, and I was almost moving forward on instinct. Climbing over a sand dune, the flag finally came into view. But the next second, I stumbled and we both rolled down. I held on to my daughter tightly, and my wrist bone hit a rock, sending a sharp pain through me. A few minutes later, we finally stopped, a mess. My daughter was already crying in terror, and her body was covered in sand. My face was buried in the cold sand, with the whistling of the wind and my daughter's cries in my ears. For a moment I thought, maybe I should just let the wind and sand bury me. A playful shout came from the drone. Alara, don't play dead, you only have 5 minutes left. I was surprised to find when I looked up that we had rolled closer to the supplies. As soon as I stood up, I fell to the ground again, a mess. I crawled to my daughter and consoled her in a hoarse voice. Baby, can you hold on a little longer? We'll have water to drink soon. She nodded, her eyes red, and carefully put the jacket on me. Mom, I can walk myself, I'll go get it. She ran ahead of me with her little legs, stumbling every few steps. My tears fell into the sand pit, without a single echo. I also crawled forward, using my hands and feet, but found that, besides a down jacket, the supply bag only contained a few pieces of bread and a bottle of water. I wrapped my daughter tightly and sat next to the supply bag. The desert at night was like a wild beast with its mouth open, ready to swallow us at any moment. Mom, Dad will come to pick us up tomorrow, right? My heart ached. Yes. He said that he would come to pick us up after we had stayed in the desert for a day. Thinking of this, I fell into a deep sleep, with a splitting headache. I also missed the excitement on the screen at that moment. Boring, it seems the task is too easy. Don't rush, let them have a little sweetness first, the good stuff is yet to come. President Lin also took his young wife camping there, saying they wanted to see the stars, so romantic. In the middle of the night, a cool breeze woke me up, but my daughter was nowhere to be seen. My heart leaped into my throat. Seeing a light seeming to come from the other side of the dune, I limped over. Having crossed the sand dune, I saw the most beautiful scenery. The Milky Way hung high in the sky, like a dazzling necklace. A familiar voice cut through the night wind. Isla, when we get back, I'll give you a necklace too called the Milky Way, okay? The Milky Way separates the cowherd and the weaver girl, so it can't take you away from me. He used to say my eyes were as captivating as stars, but a star compared to the Milky Way is insignificant. The love I cherished was just picking up what belonged to someone else. Isla tiptoed and kissed him. Promise me you'll come here every year to see the stars, okay? I love you, Julian. My daughter's voice interrupted my thoughts. Mom, you're here too? Why are you crying? I rubbed my sore eyes. Mom got sand in her eyes, let's go back. Hearing the noise, Julian immediately pushed Isla away. A flustered look flashed across his face. What are you doing here? My daughter ran over. Dad, are you here to take Mom and me back? Isla suddenly pointed at my leg, her voice rising. Isn't that what we just bought? I looked down and was also stunned. My rolled-up pants leg was covered with pink Hello Kitty bandages. The comments section was filled with unbearable insults. Stealing again? She really can't change her cheap habits. Is someone else's stuff that good? One steals a husband, one steals from the home. These mother and daughter are quite a pair. Such a nuisance, ruining my view of this beautiful woman's love affair. Julian's face turned cold. I thought you would learn your lesson after being punished, but I didn't expect you to still be incorrigible. He sneered, his eyes full of disgust. Looks like you don't want to go back. Tell me, what else did you steal? Lily was so scared she knelt on the ground. Daddy, I'm sorry. I saw Mommy bleeding a lot and couldn't wake her up no matter how much I called her, so I used a few bandages. I also took a bottle of water and fed it to Mommy. Lily will be good. Lily will never steal anything again. He kicked the child away. My heart tightened, and I rushed over to hug her. Julian, Lily is still a child. Take it out on me if you have to. She's also your daughter. Don't you have any compassion for her? His eyes were full of mockery. A woman like you will only raise a child who steals. Isla said leisurely, little thievery leads to big thievery, Julian. You can't ignore Lily. She bent down and picked up a rough stick with barbs, handing it over, and raised her eyebrows at me. Alara, don't resent me, this is all for her own good. The sound of wind rushing past. I pulled Lily behind me, taking the full force of the blow. In the moment I fell to the ground, I seemed to hear the sound of bones breaking. Lily cried out, "Don't hit Mommy. She's already bleeding so much." Julian paused, then threw the stick away. Do it again, and no one will claim your bodies if you die here. He turned and put his arm around Isla. Such a killjoy, let's find another place to have fun. Lily glanced at me, staggered over and desperately hugged his leg. Daddy, don't go. Don't leave Mommy and Lily, please. He stopped, lowered his eyes. Okay, unless you call Isla Mommy, and let her teach you well from now on. We can take you back tonight. My daughter was stunned, then silently let go of my hand. My heart felt numb. Watching him walk away without hesitation, Lily threw herself into my arms. Mommy, Lily won't leave you. Let's not want Daddy anymore, okay? My nose stung, and I hugged her tight and nodded. Sleepless all night, until the sky gradually brightened, revealing a golden expanse. I then saw the sand painting my daughter had drawn with a branch sometime last night. It was a family portrait he had taught her to draw, hand in hand. Back then, his eyes were gentle, and he laughed as he smeared watercolor on my face. No matter how hard or tired I am, seeing you two when I get home makes it all worthwhile. You're my whole world. But when his childhood sweetheart, Isla, appeared, he didn't want to see us anymore. Today, he has to work overtime with her. Tomorrow, he has to take her puppy to get vaccinated. Night after night, he didn't even notice that the house was no longer lit for him. My heart felt like it was being torn apart, and I lowered my head. Little by little, I erased his figure from the painting. The drone suddenly beeped, and the comments section went wild. Stop playing the victim, you mistress and your daughter. Crying and crying, who are you crying for? New challenge online. Everyone vote. For the next 2 days, we didn't receive any more supplies. I felt alternating chills and fevers, leaning against a rock, motionless. My daughter held my hand, her grip growing weaker and weaker. Looking at the endless sand dunes, my heart gradually dried up. The scent of death spread in the heat. Then Julian's voice rang out, a long-lost sound. Alara, aren't you going to admit your mistake? How long are you going to fight us? I glanced at my dying daughter, but couldn't even shed a tear of weakness. I tried to speak, but my throat felt like it was on fire, and I couldn't make a sound. I struggled to kneel in the sand, hitting my head against a rock, again and again. I kept thinking that if I died, Lily might be saved. Seeing the stone slowly stained red, he finally chuckled. Alara, are you willing to admit your mistake and give in? Good, I'll send someone to deliver surprise supplies immediately. A light flashed in my daughter's eyes, and I forced a smile. The supplies were getting closer and closer, and I struggled to go forward. Before I could even get close to the package, a swarm of cobras rushed out. Their tails were raised high, their tongues flicked wildly, making a chilling hissing sound. My mind went blank. Lily screamed in terror. Snapping back to reality, I grabbed her and ran. But after only a few steps, my legs gave way, and I fell uncontrollably into a sand pit. The live broadcast exploded with comments. Holy shit! Real snakes. Are you serious? Julian also turned deathly pale, roaring. Damn it! Weren't you supposed to use toy snakes to scare them? Who told you to release real snakes? I want them alive in front of me within an hour. 15 minutes later, the assistant ran over, covered in sweat. Mr. Julian, the technicians say there's a sudden sandstorm over there. The signal is completely cut off. They can't be found. The camera froze on my terrified, pale face, with a swarm of snakes coiling and approaching behind me. Julian's pupils contracted, and he suddenly stood up. Dispatch several helicopters, equipped with thermal imaging devices, and get over there now. The assistant hesitated. The sandstorm hasn't stopped yet, it's too dangerous to go now. Julian's voice was filled with suppressed anger. Are you teaching me how to do things? Isla tugged at his sleeve. Julian, darling, they'll be all right, don't risk it. I can't lose you. Julian shook her off, his eyes ice cold. You better pray they're all right. After arriving in the desert, the helicopters were forced to land on the periphery, and he followed the search and rescue team on foot. Even wearing professional equipment, he still found it difficult to move. When he rolled down a sand dune again, sand filled his mouth and nose, choking him so much that he could barely breathe. He suddenly remembered the decision he casually made that day while looking at the comments. Walking 5 kilometers in an hour to get supplies, isn't that reasonable? Now he understood how cruel that lightheartedness was. He was practically forcing us to die. He couldn't stop trembling. Elara, I'm sorry, I didn't know the real situation was like this. They all said you were acting. Someone shouted, Mr. Julian, there's something here. He rushed over. In the yellow sand, half of a child's shoe was exposed, with dried blood on the toe. He froze on the spot. The sand pile was dug open. The child's shoe was stained with blood, and a familiar scarf was blown by the wind. He grabbed it in a panic, tightly covering it over his heart, his fingertips ice cold. The shout rang out again, Mr. Julian, 300 meters ahead, a weak heat source has been found. His eyes lit up, and he struggled to keep up with everyone. A few minutes later, they only saw a cobra, its tongue flicking as it coiled on the sand. He collapsed to the ground, staring blankly as his men crushed it to death. The rescuer frowned. The situation is not optimistic. And these snakes are seriously interfering with our search and rescue process. Julian's voice was barely audible. Keep searching. No matter what, we have to find them. Then he closed his eyes and completely passed out. After waking up, he refused to leave the desert, wanting to be the first to see us. 5 days passed, and the rescue team had been replaced several times. Unfortunately, the further they went, the harder it was to find any living thing. He looked around blankly, panic surging. He only felt that this desert was going to devour everything he once had. The rescue captain looked at him with pity. Mr. Julian, please accept our condolences. The chances of your wife and daughter surviving are very small. Julian's eyes were empty, and he kept muttering, Elara, it was my fault that you and our child are in this situation. They didn't know that an hour ago, the snake's tongue was inches from my face. I closed my eyes to welcome death, but someone picked me up in their arms. A familiar, deep, and powerful male voice came. Elara, don't be afraid, I'm here. When I opened my eyes again, the air was filled with the smell of disinfectant. I turned my head, and tears instantly welled up. My foster brother, Adrian, approached awkwardly. Elara, does your wound still hurt? I shook my head. I wanted to say how much I missed him, but I couldn't make a sound. Don't worry, your voice will recover in a while. But the wound on your wrist is more serious. He looked at me carefully, and couldn't help but his eyes redden. It's my fault. I've been overwhelmed with work lately and haven't taken care of you. We've only been abroad for a year, and he's already bullying the Lin family's precious jewel like this. He's practically asking for death. Elara, why didn't you tell me and Mom and Dad? Looking at the tenderness in his eyes, my heart trembled. But remembering the secret past in the Lin family, I really didn't know how to open my mouth. He slapped his forehead. I forgot your voice hasn't recovered yet. Never mind, none of that matters. Just rest well, and leave the rest to me, okay? I will definitely get justice for you. I nodded vigorously. My daughter ran up to my side, carrying a bouquet of flowers and skipping. Mommy, you're finally awake? Uncle Adrian said that no one will bully us anymore. Look at my braids, are they pretty? Uncle Adrian braided them for me. Uncle Adrian is so amazing. Adrian smiled and picked her up. Mommy just woke up, let her rest. Shall we go watch cartoons? Yay, I want to watch Pleasant Goat and Big Big Wolf. A wave of bitterness welled up in my heart. Lily hadn't been this happy in a long time. Since Isla entered the Chung family, even the servants defaulted to serving her first. Once when I wasn't around, Lily fainted from hunger, and no one noticed. That day, when Ian had the nanny and nutritionist surrounding her, studying low-fat meals. When Julian found out, he only blamed me for not taking good care of the child, saying Lily was too weak, and fainted if she didn't eat for a day. I had always compromised repeatedly in order to give Lily a complete family. Looking back now, I was the one who was wrong. After being hospitalized abroad for half a month, Adrian took me back to the villa. To my surprise, the innermost bedroom on the 3rd floor had been restored by him, down to the smallest detail, to the way it was back at the Lin family. On the 2nd floor, there was also a game room dedicated to Lily, filled with picture books and toys. I stood at the door for a long time, my chest feeling tight. Lily ran around excitedly, her eyes sparkling. "Uncle Adrian, is your home also Mommy and Lily's home? Can we live here forever?" Adrian smiled and pinched her nose. "Of course, this will always be your home." Julian pushed open the door to find Isla on the phone, laughing hysterically. "Those 2 little bitches haven't been found? It's truly heaven's help. They must be dried up mummies by now. I'm a living, breathing person, yet he doesn't stay with me. Instead, he's fixated on 2 corpses in the desert. I think he's gone mad." Julian's veins bulged as he kicked the door open. Hearing the noise behind her, Isla was so startled she dropped her phone. "Julian, darling, what are you doing back?" He strode forward, grabbing Isla's neck. "Say that again. Who told you Alara was dead?" She struggled desperately, tears welling in her eyes. "Julian, you're hurting me." I spoke without thinking, but I didn't mean any harm. Think about it, half a month with no bodies, no remains. Eventually, you have to face reality, right? Julian's eyes grew more intense, his grip tightening. His assistant hurried in. "Mr. Julian, according to reliable sources, another helicopter went to that desert before we did. Could Alara and her daughter have been rescued?" He suddenly froze, his heart pounding. Deep in his mind, the image of her clear, indifferent face surfaced. He spoke slowly, deliberately. "Investigate, Adrian." Adrian was about to attend an important gala, and asked me to help him pick out his clothes. I helped him put together an outfit, and was holding up a tie, trying to decide if it suited him. Julian barged in, his gaze fixed on me. "Alara? You're not dead? Why didn't you tell me?" I scoffed. "Looks like Mr. Julian is disappointed." He explained urgently. "No, Alara, I never wanted you to die. I hurt you, and you deceived me so terribly. Let's call it even, okay? Let's go back to the way things were." He reached out to take my hand, but Adrian threw him to the ground with a shoulder throw. "Call it even? Wishful thinking." Smack. His answer was a hard slap across Julian's face. "Just pretend we died in that desert long ago." "Julian, if it weren't for my brother, we would have died." After a pause, I added, "The divorce papers will be delivered to you in a couple of days. Otherwise, I'll see you in court." I turned and walked away. Adrian grabbed him by the collar and punched him a few times. "Julian, is this how you treat them when I'm not around? You just wait." After dropping Adrian off at the gala, I returned to the villa alone. From a distance, I saw Julian standing at the door, holding a teddy bear. "Lily, look, Daddy bought you a new toy. Do you like it? Come home with Daddy, okay? I won't punish you anymore." Lily covered her ears and crouched on the ground, screaming in a panic. "Go away, I don't want you. I don't want to be yelled at or hit. I don't want to be eaten by snakes." I pushed him away forcefully. "Get out of here. Lily has finally stopped having nightmares. Why do you have to come and disturb us? Remember, we don't want you anymore." He froze, then suddenly shouted, "Is it because of Isla? She may be a little spoiled, but..." I interrupted coldly. "See? Even now, you're still protecting her. Do you really think your white moonlight is so innocent? If she's a knife, then you're the executioner who hurt us." I called security and had them take him away. "Alara, it really was my fault this time. It's normal for you to be upset. I'll be back." On the way back to the city, Julian remembered the mockery on my face when I spoke of Isla and his daughter's alienation. He felt a pang in his heart. But compared to the anxiety on the way here, he He was only filled with the joy of recovery. He secretly resolved to make Isla apologize to us and to properly compensate us. Back home, he stepped into his daughter's room, something he hadn't done in a long time. This was once a fairy tale paradise he had personally decorated, but now it was filled with estrangement. Ever since Isla returned to the country, he had been either working overtime or spending time with her. His gaze fell on the bedside table, where there was now a lock. In the family photo, his figure had even been blacked out. He realized belatedly that we really didn't want him anymore. He accidentally pressed a corner of a teddy bear, and a recording began. "You little bitch, listen to me obediently, wash my feet and serve me. Otherwise I'll throw you out. Not just you, but also your useless mother. You want to compete with me for him? You all deserve to die." His eyes turned red. Isla was treating his daughter like this. Was this the pure and kind white moonlight in his heart? No wonder Lily wouldn't get close to Isla. But he had repeatedly scolded her for being insensible. No wonder his daughter looked terrified when he held the teddy bear. He had been so wrong. He suddenly felt drained of strength. His assistant approached, pointing to the trending comments in the live stream. "Mr. Julian, look, Isla's account has been stirring up trouble from beginning to end. The tech department tracked the account to Ms. Isla. She intends to drive Alara and Lily to their deaths." Julian was shocked, and a dull pain surged in his chest. The person he cherished in his palm was using his weaknesses step by step, pushing the people he cared about most into the abyss. I was right, he was indeed the executioner. In the silence, Isla approached cheerfully, wearing a J-Beauty-inspired look. She smiled brightly. "Julian Gidge, my live stream is trending, did you see it? Everyone is asking when you're going to marry me." Julian grabbed her head and pressed it forward, staring quietly at her. This familiar face was now full of thoughts he couldn't understand. He suddenly chuckled. "You did very well, I plan to reward you handsomely. I hid a treasure in the desert, see if you can find it." She covered her mouth and giggled. "Could it be an engagement ring?" Julian smiled without saying a word. 2 days later, he really received the divorce agreement I sent, and chased after me overnight. "Alara, I know I was wrong, I've already made her pay the price. Let's not separate, okay?" In the phone he handed over, Isla had fallen from 2 meters into the desert, breaking her leg on the spot. She was even tormented by the supplies, just like we were back then. Her broken leg dragged bloody streaks across the sand, until the blood ran out and she stopped moving. Before she died, she was still begging for mercy. I couldn't help but frown. "Julian, you're really crazy. No one else's suffering can replace the suffering we once endured. Those pains are etched into my bones, they can never be erased. Unless you experience it yourself, you're not qualified to talk about making amends." His face paled inch by inch, his eyes filled with panic. "No, Alara, please don't sentence me to death, okay? Give me a chance to make it up to you. And Lily, she can't be without a father." Lily was holding a kite, being led home by Adrian. As soon as she saw him, she was so scared that she burrowed into Adrian's arms. His eyes were full of hurt as he took a step back, clutching his chest. Adrian glanced at him. "Cleaned up the mess? Got time to come here and harass people?" Julian ignored his sarcasm and knelt down directly, handing me another phone. "Alara, I was wrong, you can hit me, punish me, whatever you want." I trembled as I opened that nightmare-like live stream. It was surprisingly quiet inside. Pinned at the top was a notice from the cyber police. The main individuals involved have been arrested, and the live stream will be permanently banned at midnight. Second was Julian's posted marriage certificate, and a 10,000-word apology letter. Fighting the mistress to get to the original wife? We were really blind. We were all deceived by the scumbag and the bitch. I'm sorry. The original wife and child are so pitiful. I wonder how they're doing. Apology comments were constantly being liked. I didn't make any clarifications to prove my innocence. I was the victim. I shouldn't lessen their guilt. A few minutes later, the live stream was completely shut down. He glanced at my expression, carefully took out the equity transfer agreement from his arms. I'm only asking that you come back to me. I'll give you most of my shares, okay? I'll love you well. He looked up at me, his eyes full of humility and pleading. I sneered. Julian, Do you think I stayed with you for the money? I won't take back a heart that has changed. Besides, my heart has also changed. It will never beat for you again. He clutched his chest tightly and vomited a mouthful of blood. Then incoherently he said, Elara, you have to be careful of Adrian. He has bad intentions towards you. I didn't look back, and reminded him coldly. If you still have even a little bit of conscience, and don't want to reopen the scars again and again, please stay away from us. Inside the room, Adrian walked behind me. Elara, you can feel it, right? I wasn't made of wood. I had long sensed Adrian's affection for me. I was originally an adopted daughter taken in by the Lin family from an orphanage. Yet they doted on me, treating me the same as Adrian. Countless nights, thinking of my good fortune, I felt endlessly grateful. From a young age, relatives had jokingly teased that my brother and I were a golden couple. Perhaps in my heart, fondness for him had long since taken root. But the day before he planned to confess to me, he was sent abroad overnight by his adoptive parents. I thought my adoptive parents were dissatisfied with me. I felt deeply ashamed and uneasy, not knowing how to face them. During my most vulnerable and confused time, Julian appeared, gentle, considerate, and attentive in every way. And so I accepted his confession. Not long after the wedding, Adrian took over the company overseas, and my adoptive parents traveled around for leisure. I no longer had the courage to contact them. Adrian sighed and stared at me earnestly. Back then, Mom and Dad said daughters were more precious. They felt I wasn't good enough for you. So they decided at the last minute to give me 2 years, to make me work hard to prove that I had the ability to protect you. My tears fell with a plop. So that was the truth. I had thought they loathed me and never wanted to see me again. He carefully pulled me into his arms, gently stroking my back. Elara, the power to decide your happiness is in your hands. Only you are qualified to choose your own happiness. My feelings have never changed. But whatever decision you make, I will support you. Seeing me weeping uncontrollably, he explained in a fluster. Don't worry, if you just want to raise Lily on your own, then this place will always be your home. Don't feel pressured. One hurt me deeply, yet was downstairs, desperately trying to stay, saying he couldn't live without me. The other loved me deeply, yet was willing to let go, always standing behind me. Scenes flashed through my mind. How could I not choose? I softly called his name. Adrian? His ears instantly turned red, and he buried his head in my shoulder, his voice muffled. I'm so used to you calling me brother. It's really a bit unaccustomed. Despite saying he wasn't used to it, that night, he hurriedly made a phone call to announce that he was going to marry me. Dad teased with a laugh. Good, I thought you were going to be a bachelor for life. Good kid, you're lucky. Mom secretly wiped away tears. Now I don't have to worry about Elara anymore. If you dare bully her, I'll skin you alive. Adrian protested in dissatisfaction. Mom, you're too violent. When Julian reappeared, Lily was learning to ride a horse with the instructor at the manor. He called out several times, but she didn't respond. After a while, Lily finally dismounted and solemnly reminded him. My name is Lily Lynn, don't call it wrong. His face darkened. When did you change to your mother's surname? He was momentarily annoyed but quickly put on a smile. Never mind, as long as you're happy. Come back to Daddy, okay? Lily tilted her head and looked not far away, then suddenly pointed and smiled. My dad is over there. Julian instinctively looked in that direction. Under the sunlight, Adrian and I were walking hand in hand, our faces full of happiness. Mommy, Daddy, you're here to pick me up. Lily cheered and ran over. Adrian scooped her up and held her high in the air. Wow, you rode so well. I'll reward you with 2 pieces of cake. She giggled. Mommy eats too. Okay, I'll save some for you. That scene stabbed at Julian, almost blinding him. He slowly squatted on the ground, holding his head and crying. Everything he had once possessed, he had ultimately crushed with his own hands. Now he no longer had the right to get even half a step closer. Footsteps came closer, and he looked up in surprise. But the smile instantly froze. Because standing in front of him was an Interpol agent. He looked ahead. The sunlight fell on the flagstone path, stretching our shadows long. He stared blankly at the backs of the family of 3, his eyes shattered. Elara. His heart emptied for a moment, and he stumbled forward. He had only taken 2 steps when he was pressed to the ground. Mr. Julian, you are suspected of intentional homicide and illegal trading. We will arrest you according to the law and hand you over. In addition, all of your assets have been frozen. His fingertips were only inches away from my shadow, but he was handcuffed on the ground, growing further and further away from me. That light was no longer related to him.